Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hot Take Gaming Podcast, where sometimes we have hot takes about video games and current events in the video game industry. Episode 1, baby, where it all begins. My first ever guest with me here today is none other than Funky HQ, a.k.a. Heath himself.
Hello.
This guy is an incredible man. He's part of the reason we're here today, because anytime I have a PC question, anytime I have an equipment question, anything like that, this is the go-to guy.
I don't know how this is all working right now.
We don't ask how this podcast is set up, ladies and gentlemen, because if you could see behind the camera right now, it's a dumpster fire. But that's why it's the Hot Take Gaming Podcast. Heath, before we dive into some of the spicy stuff we're going to be talking about today that's going on in gaming, give us a quick plug real quick. Tell us about what you're doing on your channel.
Hi, I'm Heath. My channel, I stream on Twitch sometimes as a VTuber occasionally, and on YouTube I make tech-related content, so like basically my whole channel was kind of like supported by the Steam Deck at this point. But I've done some other stuff like that, PC building, keyboard building, stuff like that, so that's about it.
We absolutely love to see it. And like I said, Heath's been the main man, and not the podcast, getting the podcast set up from all the way from square one, step one.
Honestly, I've known you since you were a child. So.
Yes. So like I'm saying, actual square one, not just episode one. Let me make that clear.
That was there from the beginning.
I absolutely love it. All right, so the first thing we want to kind of dive into today is going to be the Fallout TV show. So that obviously is a huge deal right now. A lot of people are talking about the Fallout TV show, right? Mm-hmm. I've seen mostly positive things in my experience.
Incredibly positive.
Yeah, I mean, it's been, for the most part, it's been one of those things where I think true fans of the games, every once in a while they'll pick out something where like, oh, that's not right, or you know what I mean? That's not accurate.
You can count on the people in the gaming world to nitpick like literally everything.
Yes, absolutely. And like Heath obviously has done YouTube content too, myself included. You know there's always going to be that one guy. There's going to be that one jabroni.
There's so many one guys.
There is. They're jabronis. And we love all of you out here, but I know right now one of you have picked up your phone and started typing already.
Yeah, he's going for it. He's going to send it.
So, spoiler warning real quick. We'll probably get into some slight spoilers, maybe even full-blown spoilers. I don't really know how this
I'll
is
do my
go.
best. You know, like, I mean, we didn't really talk about if we're to do spoilers or not, but like, man, just in general, the show is phenomenal.
It is. It absolutely is.
Have you watched it all?
I've binged it all. I binged it all in like a day and a half.
I binged it all in a single day.
It's that good, though.
I think it was the day that it came out. Honestly, like, oh my gosh. The thing I want to say about it is that there are people out there that are seeing the little things. I mean, obviously they're big Fallout fans, right? Like, they're seeing the little things and they're like, you're messing with freaking New Vegas. Oh, it's canon. It's okay. It's all right. Daddy Todd Howard's got you. Like, it's okay. The show is like, I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about like some of the like shows that have come out recently that have been like good, right? I mean, there's a lot of them, mm-hmm. And I actually am kind of shocked.
Yeah.
Because do you remember the Doom movie?
Yes.
The one with The Rock?
Yeah.
That's what sticks in my head when we're thinking about video game adaptations for like shows and movies and media. That's the thing that pops into my head immediately, which is probably pretty bad because like that movie was butt cheeks.
It was, and it's kind of the well-known, it goes both ways. It's the well-known curse of video games based off movies were ass, right? They were always like dog shit.
Yeah, and then it goes the other way too.
Yeah.
Like when they try to do the opposite. It's like you figure it out. Just figure it out.
And I think they did a good enough job where even if it's canon, it is canon, so that's 100% fact.
Yeah.
But if there's like one thing that's like different, like
the text on the whiteboard said that the bomb dropped at this time. It's retcon. Oh, you're ruining Vegas. New Vegas is the best game. Like, yeah, New Vegas is a really good game.
And the show does a good job at complementing the games. That's why I thought it did. It felt honestly, the show felt like it was an adaptation of a game that just obviously isn't released.
I love it, and I love that they play into the tropes. Like, like I'm leaving, or not. You're leaving. The main character is leaving the vault. The vault dweller is leaving the vault because Daddy got kidnapped. Like that. This is so unoriginal, but for the show, it works really well. And I mean, I like all. I think some people will say that some of the characters weren't written as well as they could have been. I don't even care. It makes a lot of sense that the Vault Dweller is just going to be like, Vault-Tech's great. Vault-Tech's awesome. I love Vault-Tech. And then you get out in the real world and everyone's like, fuck Vault-Tech, man. like even if you go into, like, I watched a short today, or maybe it was a long form video. I don't remember, but it was about like how you know Fallout 3, right? And there's Megaton. Yep. The city with the bomb in it.
The big moral quandary.
The freaking bomb. There's a Vault-Tech logo on that bomb.
Yeah.
Like so
it ties right back into the canon side of things.
Right. And it makes a lot of sense. Like, just having the, not to do any spoilers. I mean, it's right there.
Yeah.
It's not really, like, Fallout 3's been out for a bajillion years at this point. There's not really a spoiler that Vault-Tech did stuff.
And I remember, like, after playing Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 3 and then Fallout New Vegas, because I kind of played them in order as they came out.
Yep.
Like, there's like a rabbit hole of lore videos you can go down, and that's honestly any Bethesda game. But
there's
like,
so much to dive into.
There's some stuff that's left for interpretation. You know what I mean? Stuff like that, like the Vault-Tech logo being on the bomb,
which is good.
Yeah. So I mean, I think the show fills in some of those gaps. And actually, let's talk about the biggest piece of it. Definitely spoiler warning, real quick, for however many odd minutes. Yep. Spoiler warning here. How sweet in the Fallout TV show was it that we got a backstory for the Pip Boy or the Vault Boy? Like the dude with the thumb up. We got a backstory of who that is, and not even just like an Easter egg or like a cameo.
That's literally the dude.
Yes, he is like the main dude, and like you get all of this lore, you get all of this. I don't know. It just is. It gives good character building. And it's not one of those things where it's just like a one-off experience, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, here's a patriotic guy, which anybody could have guessed because it's propaganda, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that he turned into a ghoul, is this badass, has this story, like his wife has a huge piece into how the Great War all goes down.
Right.
I mean, it is. I think that is what's really made the Fallout show stand out to me. Is because they've taken the lore, and it's not like a direct copy, right?
Right.
Like, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but like the Last of Us show. Obviously, I thought it was a great show, but really, it's just taking the stuff that's already written and just moving it to TV.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like, literally, they took, like, talking about the Last of Us show, like, literally, there are shot to shot, like cinematography-wise, like, Joel literally does this thing, and you can see it in the show and in the game, and like it lines up perfect. It lines up perfect. It's so cool. I personally haven't played Last of Us.
Oh, you haven't?
I haven't played it at all. I'm just a TV show watcher.
Here's the thing, though. You experienced the video game.
Basically, yeah.
Obviously, playing it, you fight way more zombies than they do in the show and stuff like that. There's the moment-to-moment.
Because there has to be more action.
Yeah.
Because it's a video game. You're playing a game.
Exactly. And the story, though, is like the same thing. So the Fallout TV show, why I think I'm obsessed with it, like way more than any other like video game show, is the fact that they take that lore and they build off it, and they like add new things. Obviously, like it's an original story.
They add more stuff, but they also don't like taint it.
Right. Yeah. It's like they stay true to like the actual word.
Right. And which is what you just want out of a TV adaptation of a video game. Like, it is. Like, talking about bad shows, literally the only thing on my freaking list here is Halo, because we are living in, I would say, a Renaissance period where we haven't gotten a lot of bad stuff recently, which is kind of hard to. It's cool. It's hard to believe though, because we spent so much time in the past with like crappy adaptations.
Yeah.
And like not getting what we want out of things. And so like talking about Halo, like they just need to, I don't know, just put it down.
And have you seen, when it comes to Halo, have you seen Halo, the season 1 and 2? Is 2 out yet?
Saw both of them.
Okay, I honestly only saw half of 1. I didn't even get through the full season.
I don't blame you.
I couldn't. I just did not. It's not even that I was like, this isn't true to the lore, I'm leaving. I just was like, this is bad.
I honestly, I had to just understand with my full chest that this is not Master Chief.
Yeah.
This is not the Master Chief. Sorry, buddy. This is not the Master Chief that I grew up with. So in order to just feel okay, I had to just tell myself, like, look, it's okay. we don't have to. It's just the way it is. It's a retelling. It's a different story. It's not my Master Chief. It's okay.
And I think, I don't know if this is like what ruined it for you, but like the biggest thing for me is the fact that they took his helmet off. Like not even that it was like this, like, if they did it right, if they took the helmet off right, I feel like that would have been fine. You know what I mean?
I think it was
they didn't do it.
I think so. I think the reason why they did that quite a bit is because they wanted to, or at least maybe even the actor said that they wanted to show him, like they wanted him to be able to you be able to connect with him as Master Chief a little bit more, because then you can see his face. And I originally, when I started watching that show, I was like, I just don't just stop taking your helmet off. I was really pissed off about it. But then honestly, like as time went on, I'm like, as I started to understand that, like, yeah, this isn't really the Master Chief that I grew up with, and it's okay that it's something else. It's fine.
Yeah.
As long as you watch that show with the understanding that it's just not. It's not Halo. It's not. Just go play Halo 2 or something. Like you're gonna feel better about. You're like you're gonna see the Arbiter. You're gonna see Master Chief doing cool stuff. This show, they do cool stuff. To be fair, they do cool stuff in this show, but it's not the Halo show that I wanted.
So let me ask you this: is season 2 any better?
Season 2 is slightly better,
That's
and there are some things, and he spends just as much time out of his suit as you would imagine he would. But I think really after season 1 and then going into season 2, I'm more interested in the other characters.
Really, like the side.
I mean, the other Spartans. Yeah. I mean, even within the games, like I know, like Halo 4, Halo 5, you see other Spartans.
Yeah.
Or at least with.
That was 5, wasn't it? It was like a little.
It started like whatever his name is, Locke, and like the whole team, the other team of Spartans. Like you actually get to see that stuff. I know in books and stuff, you can read all the. I'm not a book guy, so like I don't read any of that stuff. But like I know that the lore is all there, that there are lots of Spartans, and there are. I'm just happy that like I can actually like get to see those Spartans.
Yeah.
So yeah, the guy that plays Mr. John Halo, Master Chief, like he's not my Master Chief.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. But when you're looking at like the other characters in the show, like I don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
So I want to hear about what happens, and I don't remember the names of the characters at this point because it's been a couple weeks since I watched it. But I really started to get like invested in like the other characters and what was going on with them, like what's in their head, like what's going on, like, and that's where I got my enjoyment out of the show. Mm-hmm. On top of it being very loosely based on Halo. Like it's like there's a ring and High Charity's in it, like the big Covenant, like that's there, like and they did a good job with that, which is weird. Like it's weird what they did a good job with and what they just decided to just be like, we don't need to follow anything.
It's like pick and choose of what lore you're gonna stick with.
What are we gonna just? I don't know.
And honestly, I think that is kind of like stepping out of the TV show a little bit too. I feel like that is why Halo is in this weird like. Where it's like obviously Halo's popular. Halo's always going to be popular because it's Halo. But think 4, 5, even Infinite to an extent. There's this weird like it's popular, but it's like also known as washed. Yeah. And like it's not like even like Halo Infinite. Like I would never say that game was like super mainstream. You know what I mean? And maybe that's never what it was going to be anyways in this modern age. Maybe even if it was like, oh, all the Halo fans absolutely love this. It's just like casual gamers don't. You know what I mean? Maybe that's the way it always was going to be. But I think Halo Infinite's like being delayed from being a Series X launch game definitely kind of put them in that spot.
Yeah.
But also like we're saying with the games, like 4 and 5 was just really odd. Like, I don't know. I think like
it didn't really capture the mood. That I mean, and that's because it wasn't Bungie. But it didn't really capture that like what really made like Halo special. and it just kind of threw people in armor and just kind of just threw them out there and I don't know, it doesn't, those games don't like stray too far away from like what would actually really happen within the Halo universe. It's just how it was told, and you know, we would want, you know, a modern take on Halo, and that's what Infinite is too. But that game just went through so much, like it just didn't come out the way that it should have came out, and it didn't come out finished, and it was just disappointing. But honestly, I will still like talk to people about Halo because I enjoy Halo. Yeah, like playing Infinite multiplayer is great.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun on Infinite.
We do, and so like when it boils down to it, when I've asked other people about what they feel about Halo, like I asked some random person the other day, it was one of our coworkers, and I was like, "What do you think about Halo?" It's like, "Well, it's not good," and I was like, "When did you play it?" It's like, "Oh, well, I played it when it came out." And you haven't come back to it? No, because it was bad when it came out. Imagine how many, and this is just like just a dude that plays video games. Not, I don't know if he's a hardcore gamer or not, but like I was like, "Oh, you play video games? You play Halo, whatever?" Because he plays Destiny and all that. And he was like, "No, I just haven't played Halo because it was garbage when it came out." Yeah. And I was like, "But it's good now." And he's like, "It is?" I was like, "Yeah, it's good now. Like it's a fun multiplayer experience." And I feel like and talking about microtransactions and the egregiousness shit that comes out of that. Don't even get me started on Call of Duty. Like I feel like what they do with like the season passes and stuff in Halo Infinite, like they're not the worst offenders.
No, I actually thought like there was a good amount of value in the Infinite Battle Passes. Yeah. And like they weren't super quick. It's not like they're like, "Oh, you have like 10 days to hurry up and grind all this shit." Right. And then you're not going to get it all anyways. So then you had to buy it. I don't know. It felt like it was pretty fair, and it was like not a super like what are we even paying for kind of a thing.
Right. And it's not one of those like you only have X amount of days to complete it. You buy the Battle Pass and you have it.
Yeah.
It's not the traditional like Fortnite or Call of Duty where like you buy it and then you have only a certain amount of time, which is like I don't play this game every day, but I want that armor. You know, like I want that armor effect, or I want that piece of armor. Yeah. Well, I think what they're doing now is fine. It's just the state of all of that stuff at this point. Like, if you want to, I mean, we're straying too far away from Fallout at this point. But I want to talk about microtransactions for a second.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And how terrible it is within Call of Duty right now. Because...
Is you talking like Modern Warfare 3 transactions?
Yeah, so Warzone, all that stuff, Warzone 2.0, whatever. Right now, so they had a deal with Godzilla, right? Godzilla and Kong.
Love that.
Right? So they had a thing with Godzilla and Kong. They've got skins for Godzilla and Kong. They also have skins for the other two kaijus that are in the show, or in the movie. And I saw the movie, and it's great. It's good. It's a good movie. It's a good watch. I like Godzilla, so I don't really care for Kong, but like Godzilla, anything Godzilla's in.
Mashed up one
dude, Godzilla. What was the one before it? The one that was like different than Godzilla.
Oh yeah,
Zero or -1.
Yep, that was a
Godzilla
great
minus. Oh, so good, so good. Anyway, not to go too far away from it. You motherfuckers at Activision. There is one weapon that you cannot get. It's like Kong's, like he has like this power fist thing that's like a robot fist. You can get that in Call of Duty. Do you know how you get that in Call of Duty?
Oh God.
There are 4 packs to purchase, and they are each $20. You get Godzilla, you get Kong, you get Scar King or whatever, the orangutan guy, and then there's another kaiju that I don't remember what his name is. That's $80.
So wait, let me ask you this: is it like you buy these $20 packs and it's like you get a random one of those?
No.
Or like, is it kind of like an Overwatch where you're like gambling?
No, you straight up are purchasing. You know what you're purchasing with Call of Duty. So you buy the Godzilla pack. You get all the Godzilla stuff. You get the Godzilla skin. You get the Godzilla gun. You get there's a bunch of different things that are skinned for that specific pack. Is it worth the $20? I mean, they do give you a lot of stuff, But my biggest gripe with this is that there is this weapon that you cannot get unless you spend literally $80, which is more than the cost of the game itself, to just get a punchy power fist thing. Like, it's,
that's ridiculous.
That's wild.
That's ridiculous.
And that's honestly like why I haven't played Call of Duty as much, because it just like it's not working in my brain anymore. It's like don't get me wrong, you can buy skins and enjoy looking like Godzilla or whatever. I don't like that's not that big of a deal. But when it comes down to like
but being more than the game it's pretty. That's pretty wild.
Ridiculous.
That's pretty wild. Yeah.
It's ridiculous, and that's and that moving into like the new Ubisoft like Star Wars game.
Yep. Oh, you talking about Outlaws?
Outlaws? Do you know that?
Yes. So I know a very brief outline of that. Lay that out for us of what's going on with that.
Basically, right now, if you pre-order the game, which like the cheapest version of the game is $70,
right? Which
is the world we live in now.
It is.
I love me some indies because they just do not cost that much.
We love indies.
You have to spend extra money to get like a specific version of the game in order for you to be able to play a specific mission that has Jabba the Hutt in it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like and like I'm a Star Wars guy. I love Star Wars. And for me to just be able to, it should just come with the game.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It should just come with the game. Anyway.
So let me ask you this, though. So, and honestly, that kind of reminds me of like Hogwarts. This is a side thing.
Yeah,
kind of reminds me of the Hogwarts Legacy. Remember, they had like, I think it was on PlayStation. One of the consoles, and I'm pretty sure it's Sony. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but they got like an exclusive mission. It's like if you're on PS5, you get this exclusive mission as like a pre-order bonus, and it was like one of the coolest missions in the game, like side missions wise at least. I can't remember if it was Sony, but I'm pretty sure it was Sony that got that like exclusive game, and that's the kind of stuff. Even though that isn't like behind a paywall, I just don't like that. You know what I mean? That like you shouldn't have like premier content that like goes towards the game and everybody should experience, especially like if you're a fan of something like that. You know what I mean? Like if you're a huge Harry Potter fan, you shouldn't have to like worry about, oh, am I on the right console to get this exclusive mission that's like a huge deal or could be a huge deal.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean I grew up in an era and like where like even if the game like they shipped games on physical media, so like you just can't like update a PS2 game
right
when you pop it in you're not connected to the internet. Like you have to just have. So I don't know, the way that things are now with how games come out, it's disheartening. You know, I think a lot of people should be taking notes from Larian Studios and things like that. And I know that's not new. That's not new news at all. But like just take notes, man.
Yeah.
I wanna see games that come out that are done, and then after it comes out, you're still supporting the game by not. You don't need to even make more content. You just need to make the game better. If there's feedback from the community, like say, like there's a bug doing this or whatever, like just be there to support it.
And they kind of did that. I'm not super familiar with the early stages of Baldur's Gate 3, but they kind of did that, right? Didn't they have like a beta thing where you could
it was
give
out.
Feedback?
You could buy Baldur's Gate for years before it actually came out.
Yeah.
And that I didn't even know that. It was one of those like it was just like totally under my radar.
Yeah.
And my fiance was like, "Oh yeah, I own that game." I was like,
You're like, what?
What?
Well, I remember like one of our friends, Noah, was he had it like bought it day one, and I remember it's funny because it was like during COVID, and I didn't play Baldur's like any of the other Baldur's Gate games.
Me either.
So I wasn't sure, even what I knew what it was, but like I didn't think I'd be interested in it.
Right.
So he bought it then, and I remember he was like, oh, I know this isn't complete, and he was kind of like mad. You know what I mean? He's like, this is not a great spot, but I bought it, and I know it's not finished. Like that's the whole point of it. And now he's like, I absolutely like love that they did that because all the stuff that was like wrong with the game. The community could give him feedback and they actually listened to it and changed it. And he said there's some stuff in there that's like drastically different from that early build of the game. So it's not even like, it's honestly like a reverse of what we see a lot of times, like with going back to indies, kind of with indie games, is like It was almost like it was in open beta, but you still had to pay for it. You obviously get the game when it comes out fully still, but it was almost like an open beta kind of a thing. But they actually released the game. Like indie games never release when they're open access.
It's true.
Like that.
It's true. Early access games they spend a lot of time in early access.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Which is fine, I think, for the most part, unless they're promising things that they can't deliver.
Exactly. So it's like they actually finished the game for one, which I mean that shouldn't surprise anybody. It's Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
And they actually listen to community feedback, which I think a lot of people don't. Not necessarily indies, but I feel like a lot of places people do not listen to feedback at all. Probably Call of Duty being a huge example of that.
Right. Not
listening to their community.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we always love feedback and take feedback, and then they don't apply any of that.
Shut
feedback.
up, Activision.
Yeah.
Garbage company.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, while we're on microtransactions, let me ask you about this. What did you think about the Dragon's Dogma 2 drama?
I don't know. It's kind of blown out of proportion at this point.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I thought it was going to be this huge thing, and I opened up the store, and I was like, these are all one-time purchases of items you could get in the game already.
Yep.
I know there's one stipulation. I know there's a campsite that weighs significantly less. That's the thing I read about that's that's a big paywall thing. You can get a campsite that's weighs practically nothing. You know what I mean, compared to the other ones. So that's the one asterisk of the microtransactions. But the rest of it being one-off items that you could find anywhere, I have no issue with that. My message to people is that if you don't like microtransactions and it's in a setup like that, don't fucking buy them.
Don't buy. That's how you send your message. Yeah. Don't buy it.
Don't buy it.
Don't buy it.
Especially those. Just play the game.
Just play the game. And I talking about that stuff. It's Fallout 76.
Yeah.
That's another one of those sort of egregious contenders, which is sad because it's Bethesda.
Yep.
I am overencumbered, and I don't want to drop all this cool stuff that I have. What can I do? I can drink this Nuka-Cola or potion or whatever that makes it so I can carry 40 pounds more.
Yeah.
How do you get that? How do you think you get that?
You buy it.
You buy it.
You give them $10.
You spend your hard-earned cold cash and buy it. So, I don't know. Just don't buy it, though.
Yeah, just don't fucking buy it.
Just don't buy it.
Go back to your trunk and put that shit in the trunk.
The problem is that my trunk's full, too. That's
well,
the
if
problem.
you spend $20, you can get a new trunk.
Listen, I just came back to 76 because of the show, bringing it back to Fallout.
Yep.
I started playing 76 because of the show again, and I'm level 80 something. I don't know. I played the game quite a bit before.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when it was good.
Yeah.
When it started to be good.
So at a year or two post launch or something.
Correct. Okay. And it's wild that it's been out as long as it's been out.
2018.
It doesn't feel like it's been that long.
I didn't realize the other day somebody asked me in the comments when did it come out, and I was like, 2020. I was like 2018.
Yeah.
Almost 6 years at this point? Almost 6 years old in November. It'll be 6 years. So that's. I remember. So the only time I played 76 is I was super super stoked for it.
Yeah.
And
I think everybody was.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't remember if I was in my apartment yet or not, but I was living with, whether it was at my parents' house or my apartment, I can't remember which. I was roommates with Zach. I think you met Zach before. Yeah. And me and Zach were both love Fallout. We were super stoked to get on 76 and play it. Mm-hmm. And honestly, even with no NPCs and all that, I was kind of coping, but I was having fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was
coping.
This is sweet. This shit's breaking.
I tried to do the same thing because I had a friend that my buddy Jake literally paid however much money for the special edition of the game, and then we get into the game and it's huh? What is this?
And we even with our coping, we coped so hard. We're this isn't that bad.
Well, I'm trying to be positive. The dude spent a bunch of money, and I was like, I'll buy it because I want to play games with you.
Exactly.
And we just kind of got so far into the game where we were just like, this is garbage.
We hit a bug where you were supposed to talk to a sentry bot or whatever. We walk up to the bot and we start trying to talk to it, and it's not letting us talk to it. It had the little quest thing over it, and we're like, hey, and so we couldn't do anything. And then that was one of the main quests, and we couldn't get out of that area or right. Not out of the area, but you know what I mean, progress essentially.
Yeah.
So that I set it down after that. I explored a little bit, kind of pissed off, and right. Went away, but I explored a little bit, but other than that, I mean, I'm probably like level like 15 or something. Like I've hardly played it, but
You should come back.
I did re-download it.
Yeah.
I haven't played it yet.
Just come
But
back.
the show made me re-download it. Circling back all the way to the show, we're all over the place, but that's that's great.
how podcasts work.
And that's why it's the Hot Take Gaming Podcast. Our hot take is we are all over the fucking
We're
place.
taking it elsewhere. We're going other places constantly.
We are.
Hotly.
The Fallout TV show, though, I think, one, it makes Bethesda should realize like how great of an opportunity they have to make another
they
Fallout. And let me talk about this, too. I don't know the legality of this. Maybe they can't do this at all, but I feel like I don't know how they couldn't. Now that Microsoft owns Bethesda,
No.
and I'm blanking on the name right now.
Obsidian?
Obsidian. They own Obsidian 2. Give us New Vegas 2. Or it doesn't. Honestly, listen to this. It doesn't even have to be New Vegas 2. Listen here. It does not have to be New Vegas 2. Give us another spin-off made by Obsidian.
Yeah.
Because that was the best goddamn Fallout there was. And I'm telling you, again, it doesn't even have to be New Vegas. Like, make it in make it in Texas. I don't care.
Yeah.
I think they have, because obviously they're going to go Elder Scrolls 6 next. So
Yeah.
I've already teased that.
Yep.
But I don't want to wait till 2030 for Fallout 5 or just another like mainline Fallout game.
That's why you just got to keep coping with 76, man. You're
I'm going to cope all the way.
You're going to have to wait. I think what it is, and I've seen sort of murmurings about this online too, about what you're saying, because they own Obsidian. They own the studio that made the one of the best Fallout games that exists.
Yeah.
And people have their opinions. So 3 is good. Vegas is the best. 4 is okay.
Yeah.
Bethesda made 3 and 4, and I think maybe it's a little bit of a pride thing, but Todd Howard is probably like, we want to make the best Fallout game, not that guy.
Yeah.
We want to be the ones to make the best Fallout game, and I'm tired. Me as Todd Howard, I'm tired of hearing about how New Vegas is the best Fallout game. Like, I want to make the best Fallout game. Maybe it's a pride thing. I don't know.
And I'm kind of glad you said that, because one, hot take.
Hot take.
we got a hot take. But two, I never thought of it that way. And just watching, I don't know if you've like watched interviews with Todd Howard ever, or
now that the
or
show is out.
Clips,
Yeah, now that the show's out, I've seen quite a few shorts.
I could see that actually.
Yeah,
but not like the whole thing, but a piece of it.
And just think about how like he's getting older, and like he's probably going to be thinking about retirement someday.
Yeah.
Maybe he's like Reggie. Maybe he just like shows up every once in a while and does certain stuff and helps out with certain things, but isn't a part of it anymore. And I think he just like wants to make like a really cool thing.
Yeah.
He's Mr. Bethesda, and they're Obsidian.
And let me ask you this: we don't even have this on the list,
Yeah.
but this is all relevant to this conversation.
Off the cuff.
Swear. Yeah. So, let me ask you this: what have you played, and if so, what do you think of Starfield?
I haven't even played Starfield.
Haven't played
I'll be
Starfield.
honest. What I think of Starfield, I think it looks like a Bethesda game that is like kind of just okay.
Yeah. So let me go on a little quick rant, real quick.
Just
about Starfield.
tell me about Starfield.
Okay, so fair warning, you can toast me in the comments all you want, because I've only played.
Toast him.
I mean, I would say probably between 15 and 20 hours of the game. So I haven't put an expansive amount of hours in. Yeah.
Enough to get an understanding of what the game's about.
Enough to have an opinion.
Yeah.
Not on like the story. I'm not even going to focus on the story. I'm talking about like just the gameplay and like the setup of the game, the foundation of the game. Let me tell you what. You cannot market Starfield as this huge like, oh, there's 1,000 planets that you can explore. You can go to your fucking mom's planet. You can go to your dad's planet. There's shit over here. You can go to all those planets. You want to know what's stopping you from having an expansive, like, endless feeling experience? Goddamn loading screens. How many loading screens? This is 2023 when it came out. 2023. Right? And we have 18 loading screens.
Yeah.
Okay, and then this is the thing. You go through 18 loading screens, and then you walk around to like a barren desert.
Nothing.
For like 10 minutes, you get this outpost, you kill like 10 dudes.
Yeah.
And then you get in your spaceship and go through 18 more loading screens.
Yep.
And you're like, dude, Like, this doesn't feel like I mean, there is thousands of planets, but it doesn't feel like
Not
it.
having fun.
Yeah, it's like, honestly, and maybe I'm being too critical here, but Starfield feels like a game that was built in 2010 that was released in 2023. And maybe that's way too harsh.
But that's
what it feels like.
That's such a Bethesda thing, though.
And, like, here's the thing, too. Like, in Bethesda jank, we all know there's Bethesda jank, right? Like, we expect it. And honestly,
we want it.
Yeah, I like
We crave it. We desire it.
I want a jank sandwich.
Yeah.
But listen, but there was no, like, at least in my 15 to 20 hours, again, I might be way off base here, so let me know.
Yeah.
But there's no, like, when I think of Fallout, I think, like, power armor, or, like, ghouls, super mutants.
Mm-hmm.
When I think of Elder Scrolls, I always think of the goddamn frost troll guarding the mountain, you know, when you're going up there. And you think of, like, dragons.
Right.
When I think of Starfield, I think of fucking loading screens. I mean, that's what I think of. Like, there's no, like, Bethesda charm to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I've, as much as I've seen in terms of just footage of the game and, like, people talking about the game, I feel like you're pretty close. Like, you're pretty close to nailing it on the head.
And honestly, if it wasn't Bethesda, I wouldn't give a fuck. I'd be like, oh, that game wasn't very good.
Just bet. Okay. Yeah, but it is Bethesda, and you know, they're trying to. Fallout isn't even there. Wasn't they bought Fallout? That wasn't even theirs to begin with.
Because 3 was their first one, right?
Yeah, and they just totally changed the whole thing.
Yeah,
like,
because it was kind of like Baldur's Gate, wasn't it?
Kind of, top down, you know,
isometric kind of a. So honestly, with BG3's popularity,
oh my
they
gosh,
should remake Fallout 1 and 2 in that same style.
Larian, please, take Fallout and do it. Do whatever you got to do. Fix it.
Make it happen.
There's no bad Fallout game except 76. I would say 76 is probably the worst Fallout game.
Yeah.
But, like, take Fallout and make it Baldur's Gate, or make it like Divinity Original Sin 2, or whatever. Do whatever you want to do with it, but do the top down thingy. That would be so cool.
And really, like, actually, you probably would, but you probably wouldn't have to do like, they could really take that 1 and 2. Not change anything about it, just, like, update the graphics.
I don't even know. Like, I think having an updated version of those games to enjoy now would be cool. I think those games are so old at this point that it's hard to enjoy them.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're so, I don't want to say, I mean, they're retro.
Yeah.
That's the nicest way to put it.
Did they come out in the 90s?
I think so. Yeah. I couldn't tell you, but they definitely remind me of when I was obsessed with Diablo 2.
Yeah.
So, but I think they came out before then. So, it's like, I don't know. I feel like if they could just license the IP to Larian, and I know Larian's working on another game right now, and I know that they're doing whatever they're going to do, and whatever they do next is going to be amazing, because Baldur's Gate 3 was amazing. Mm-hmm. And Divinity Original Sin 2 was a great game. I think it would be so cool, not even to consider, like, remaking the first 2 Fallout games. Mm-hmm. Like, that would be cool for them to do. But I think just licensing the IP from Bethesda and creating, like, just a Baldur's Gate 3 basically type of game. Just doing what they do best, but in the Fallout universe would be
that would be
sick.
Dope. That would be super sweet.
Would be so cool, because there's so much stuff, and Larian, they attention to detail into their games, like, it's insane.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why it took 7 years to make that game, or however long it took. How cool would it be if they could pour that much love and support into a game that is already a beloved IP? Like, Baldur's Gate is. Yeah. It's already, like, that was Baldur's Gate, I don't know, 2 was an old game.
Yeah.
That's an old game. Do the same thing with Fallout.
Yeah, because it was super old, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, they were definitely retro games.
Right.
For sure.
Do it with Fallout. That would be sick. I don't even think that's a hot take. I think that's just
not even a hot take.
I think that just makes sense.
The hot take side of it, though, and it branches off the Starfield stuff, is a lot of times, like, don't get me wrong, listen, Game Pass is amazing. I've for the most part, growing up, have always been, like, a Microsoft kind of guy, right? Yeah. Like, the original Xbox I didn't have, but the Xbox 360 was, like, peak gaming for me. I loved the Xbox 360. and just like the culture at the time in gaming was sweet, right? And like Halo 3, obviously that was like this peak gaming, right?
Heavy nostalgia though too.
Yeah, very heavy nostalgia. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So, but I just look now, and like I understand how we got here, but how has Microsoft kind of, I mean, not completely fallen off because Game Pass obviously is a great deal and stuff, but Microsoft first party games are an issue. And they're
Sure.
that's not even really a hot take. I mean, I think everybody can kind of agree with that. And I like where their ecosystem is going. I like that Microsoft, has the PC Game Pass and the regular Game Pass, and they kind of coexist. And I like xCloud. I like that, like the thought of like you can play Xbox on multiple things.
Doesn't matter where you play our games. We just want you to play our
Yes,
games.
but then here's where the issue lies. What fucking games?
Right. What games?
And like. I think Halo Infinite, that's why so many people were pissed about Halo Infinite, because like there had been no really solid, and even the ones they do have that are now solid. Think of Sea of Thieves, like it was horrible at launch. There was like no content really to it. It wasn't even that it was like broke, there just wasn't content really there. Mm-hmm. Halo Infinite, being delayed a bunch and then having a bunch of empty promises, like, co-op campaign wasn't on launch, Forge wasn't on launch.
Yeah, I didn't even know that it existed.
Yeah, and like
it's there now.
Yeah, and like
apparently
half of like I'm thinking back right now, and I don't have like a list. This isn't like a prepared segment or anything, but I remember like thinking back to like the Xbox Series X event, like when they launched the Series or announced the Series X. And they had this, a bunch of games listed with it. I feel like half of those games we haven't seen yet. And that we are, which is crazy to think about, we're like 4 years into this console's life cycle at this point. So it's like, how are we at the point where we hit this big launch event, we have all these titles on here, and we've seen like a handful of them at best. Like, let me ask you this. This is what's crazy to me is, I think it's called Hellbound. I'm blanking on it. Senua's Sacrifice. Is that
Hellblade?
Hellblade.
Yeah.
So Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, Hellblade.
What a great looking game, but do you know what that game's about? Have you ever played it?
Yes, it's pretty. Okay. I thought it was a pretty solid game.
It's a cool game.
I liked Hellblade 1 was great.
I had no idea what it was about though, and I watched somebody play it, and it was like a bunch of puzzles, and I was like, "That's what this is."
With some comment, and like the thing is, it's super. Did you hear like the audio with it? It's super trippy. So like, I guess there's a whole mental health component to it too.
Right.
Chirp off.
That's what I understand.
Yeah, a lot of it's like it's almost like schizophrenia. Like there's people whispering in your ears the whole time, and it's your own voice and stuff.
I thought that was cool. I thought their take on it is cool.
So watch this though.
Schizophrenia, not cool.
Let me look at this release date. So let me tell you this: Hellblade 2, Microsoft. I can't even remember what company made it, but Microsoft purchased that company or purchased the right for it to be an exclusive. Right. So it's going to be on PC and Xbox.
Yeah.
Right. That's going to be it's in the ecosystem as an exclusive. That game comes out on May 21st of this year. I've not heard a goddamn thing about this game. Other than like their own events where they show the trailers, which look great. They're like photorealistic trailers.
Oh my gosh.
But
the actual cinematography, like it's so good.
It's crazy. It looks great. It looks like a great game, right?
Right.
And Microsoft should really be hyping this game up. It comes out May 21st. Who I bet you 9 out of 10 people wouldn't know that.
Next month.
Yes, I bet you 9 out of 10 people would not know that. Like if you looked at the casual gamer, like we'll take Xbox like fanboys or diehard Xbox fans,
right,
out of the mix. Nobody knows that's. I didn't even. I had to look up the date. I knew it was soon, but I mean that's crazy to me.
I mean, let me be real with you for a second.
Yeah, fire away.
I don't pay for Game Pass anymore.
I'm about at that point. I just haven't really utilized it.
Well, when I'm looking at, financials and things, I'm looking at all the things that I don't use. It's Game Pass.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Steam Deck guy, so like to get Game Pass stuff to work on the Steam Deck, you got to do a lot of work.
Yeah,
I'm not even interested in doing any of that work. So, I mean, at this point, if there's a game I want to play, I just buy it on Steam.
Yeah.
And I know that you have access to a ton of games on Game Pass. And for the casual gamer especially, or kids, or whatever, to have a Game Pass subscription and have access to all those games, and having a Series S, like...
huge saving.
You have so much.
Yeah.
There is so much for you to have. And, I mean, as an adult, like, I'm like, well, I could just, now that I have, good income and all that stuff, like, you just buy the game.
Yeah. And I don't know if you, share this experience that I have with it, but... And I feel like it has to be like a psychological thing, but sure. I will always prioritize the game I bought, like finishing it and playing it. And
Yeah, because you
experiencing
own it.
Yeah, and
You own it.
Yeah,
You own it.
exactly. Yeah, and we'll get into that in a minute.
These days, you don't own your games anymore.
Exactly, and we'll get into that in a minute
Ubisoft.
because that's a good topic we have kind of on our list there that branches into another one.
Yeah.
But I open Game Pass and I just have like almost like choice paralysis.
Yeah.
There's so many, and then I'll download so many things. I'll be like, yeah, I wanted to play this game. Like I've known about it before it was on Game Pass. Want to play this? Want to play this? And then I never play them though.
Choice paralysis is so real.
It is, and Game Pass is great. I think Game Pass is a great thing. I'm not even complaining about it. I think it's a great service.
You want to play Forza? You want to play Halo?
Yeah.
There you go.
There it is. But it's like I am on the same boat as you. I'm about to unsubscribe from it because I just don't utilize it as much as I should.
I literally was subscribed to Game Pass for a long time. Like I've had it. I've had Ultimate because I have Xboxes and I have PC. I do all my gaming on my PC and then occasionally on my Steam Deck.
Yeah.
You know, like these days I'm just mostly playing on my PC. But like the new update for Stardew came out. Been playing a lot of Stardew on my Steam Deck and stuff like that. So, but anyway, it's like I have the consoles and I have the ability to access all. I gave myself access to all these games. Do I play any of them? Some days it's always part of the conversation, right? Where you go and you're like, "Hey, friend, I want to play this game." Well, I don't want to play that game because I have to buy it. Well, hey, friend, if you have Game Pass, it's on Game Pass, and the friend's like, "Oh, well, I guess we could play it then." And it's like, that's always part of the conversation. Mm-hmm. It's like, but it's on Game Pass. It's free. It's on Game Pass. No, free is when you don't spend any money.
Yep.
Game Pass is not free. Yeah. Game Pass, if you pay for Ultimate, and if they haven't jacked up the price, it was $15. Mm-hmm. That's probably $17 or $18.
Yeah, I believe it's 18.
There you go. It's like Netflix.
Because gold went away.
They just keep bumping it up. Mm-hmm. It's a damn economy.
But you're absolutely right, and like in the sense of like that's why I still am subscribed to it because I'll have that conversation almost weekly. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, I don't want to like pay for it, but
my
it's
problem.
On Game Pass.
That's the thing though, is that I'm the one telling them it's on Game Pass because I have Game Pass.
Yeah.
And my friend G has subscribed to Game Pass a couple times because I'm like, well, it's on Game Pass. He's like, well, that makes sense. I'll just buy Game Pass. And then he cancels it, which makes sense because out of the entire year the last 12 months, I probably have canceled. I canceled my Game Pass subscription probably like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
A better deal is just get Humble Bundle. If you're a PC gamer, just get Humble Bundle, and then you get like random games. And then eventually, over the course of like 10 years, like you'll have every game. Like it's that's how it works, right? Yeah. Or the Humble Bundle, like they give you like games that were prominent like 2 years ago or whatever. Yeah. Like and for however much you spend on Humble Bundle,
it's usually a great value.
It's a great value. But that's the thing. Like so, out of the last 12 months that I was subscribed to Game Pass, I probably used it twice.
Yeah, and then I fall victim. I'm not like G. I fall victim into the fact that I subscribe to it and then I never cancel. So it's like really, right. And usually I do Ultimate too because I sometimes use it on my PC and stuff.
Yeah.
Rarely, but I do sometimes. And it just keeps going and going and going and going. And by the time, like, even say 2 months later, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot to cancel that, and go back and cancel it. You probably could have bought the game or been like $10, $20 off from just purchasing the game.
Yep.
So and I think that is becoming a more popular, or not more popular, but like a more common ideology. Because like think of it this way: like Microsoft announced so many times, and as they should have, so many times they announced, right? Like Game Pass has X amount of million subscribers, all this stuff, which is great.
That's great.
But you're gonna run out of people.
Yeah.
Subscribe. Like you hit your peak, so then like my whole issue with Microsoft right now is Game Pass is a great value, yes, but you have to have more than just Game Pass and the xCloud ecosystem of like PC. If you play it anywhere, right? You have to have more than that because we're already getting to that point where everybody that's getting into the space knows about Game Pass now and is either a long-term subscriber or goes off and on like us. But it's like there's not really a huge space to grow anymore. I feel like, at least, and I might be completely wrong with that, but I feel like there's not this massive like when they first started, there was a lot of room to grow. Like now, like all of our first party games are launching on there. That's great, right? That's a huge thing. Even though there's not a lot of first party games, but
Right.
but it's a step. You know what I mean? And now I feel like we've reached this point. I guess that last step being gold going away, and now there's tiers. So there's like Game Pass Core. I believe there's a middle one, and then there's Ultimate. So it's like that's a step. I mean, arguable if it's like a improvement step. I don't know. You guys let us know what you think about it, but I just feel like what else is there to, I guess, grow with Game Pass?
I mean, they did what they wanted to do. They literally like bought a ton of game studios, and they're like, we're the game guys.
And that's where I get a little concerned, is it's like random tangent, but my favorite childhood game ever was Banjo-Kazooie.
Hell yeah.
From Rare, right? From Rare.
Right.
They bought Rare. I mean, they bought that way back ago,
Yep.
though. Like, I mean, probably during the 360 times, because that's when Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts came out.
And then you get like the Rare replay collection or whatever.
Yeah, which sweet, right? I mean, those
great
are
collection
decent
of games.
Yeah, that's a good example of like they bought a studio, and at first they utilized it. Now it's like, do you know how easy it would be for them to make a Banjo 3, or even just like remaster the old ones and like good graphics and stuff, and resell that, and it'd be great. I mean,
that's tough though, because all of the original people that were in Rare
are gone. Yeah.
Are gone, or they're in another. I think what is it, Playtronic or whatever. Mm-hmm. The people that made it's sad I don't remember the name of the game. The little chameleon and bat.
Oh yeah. I actually have it over here. I'm pretty sure.
I was a Kickstarter.
What is it? I have it over here.
Ukulele.
Yep, I have it. I have the physical copy of it over here.
That's sick. They even made a physical copy.
Ukulele.
It's dope.
Buy the damn game. It's washed out there, but yeah, Ukulele.
I backed that game on Kickstarter, and I probably played it for a total of an hour. My name's in the credits, but
is it really?
Yeah,
that's pretty sweet.
That's why I did it, because I was like, I mean, if you're Kickstarter,
so what studio made Ukulele?
Playtonic. And Playtonic was founded by people that were from Rare. The people the people that made Rare special.
Yeah,
that's Playtonic. And then Ukulele came out, and it was like, it's not. It's literally like you're trying to talking about nostalgia again. You're trying to just not bait, because that would sort of like a negative connotation. Like you're trying to like feed into that like bit of nostalgia that we all have for that kind of type of game. That you run around and you collect stuff. The Mario 64, the Banjo-Kazooie, the
like 90s era of platformers.
Right. But those were fun then. Now it's like, you play Ukulele and you're like, this isn't really that fun.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not having a lot of fun playing this game right now, and it's literally like, if the problem is, if it was Banjo, if you were running around as Banjo and you'd like flip your backpack backwards and start running around with your bird legs, Mr. Kazoo or Miss Kazooie, like it would be different.
Yeah, it's almost like I agree with you though. It is almost like an impossible task of like capturing that nostalgia.
But then would it still be good though?
Yeah,
would it still be good? You could make Banjo-Kazooie 3.
Yeah.
But then would you still want to play a game like that? And what would they need to do to make it a compelling experience? Because those type of games where you're just collectathon.
Yeah, exactly.
Those type of games like Donkey Kong 64, do we have those type of games anymore, and are they appealing? No.
Yeah,
not really.
Not on a large scale.
Not really.
Pretty much Mario is the only like remaining.
And I think the only way that something like that would work is via, if an indie studio put it out.
Yeah.
But then you're not getting the nostalgia from the IP.
Right.
So like Banjo-Kazooie, Donkey Kong, Mario, all that stuff, you're not getting whatever Blinks, Gex was Gex one?
Yeah, Gex. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, Gex.
It's all that same, but those came out in a time where 3D games were just starting to be exciting.
Yeah, and most of it was, you're right, that 3D aspect, like, whoa, I can jump and do these cool things.
Right, and it's cool to go back and play those games. Just as cool as it's to go back and play Ocarina of Time.
Right.
But there are a lot of games out there that are better than Ocarina of Time. It's just your nostalgia. Ocarina of Time is fine.
Oh yeah,
it's a good game, but don't you're putting too much weight on nostalgia to say like I want. It's like talking about playing the Fallout games. Like I keep wanting to go back and because I really enjoyed those top down isometric because I played a lot of Diablo and like I like that kind of style. Like visually, I enjoy that style. But then actually in practice, like actually going back and playing those games, it's like, how do you even do anything?
Yeah.
Like games these days are like so spoon fed to you, like, and they're like, if you're anything like me, like I'm playing Stardew, and like I'm like, what's Marnie's favorite thing so I can give it to her on her birthday? I don't want to figure it out myself.
Oh yeah, no, that's facts.
I don't even want to figure it out myself. But when I've watched other people play the original, because I watched a stream the other day of somebody playing the original Fallout, and it like, cool inventory management, garbage, terrible. You're trying to figure out what you need to do there. So I mean, that was in a time when games like you really had to like just experiment.
Yeah.
Like I was watching this guy, he was like, I think I have to put a bug or like something underneath this guy's desk so that like I can hear him when I walk out of the room. And it's like, how would you even know to do that?
Yeah, you'd have no clue.
Unless you're like reading a guide, which I mean is fine too. But gaming is so different now.
It is. No, it absolutely is.
It's so different. And there was that like, I mean, I'm going back through and playing, Game Boy games and stuff. I really enjoy it, but at the same time, it doesn't give me that same level of like, of like, I want to play through the Zelda games on Game Boy. It just seems like such a daunting task. As a kid, I fucking loved those games. Like Story of Ages, Story of Seasons, I think that's what they're called. And then like the Link to the Past.
Yeah, Link to the Past.
DX is the one that I played when I was a kid. Like those, so much nostalgia for those games. And then I go to play them, I'm like, this seems like a lot of work.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Dude, I'm kind of overwhelmed. I kind of just want to play Helldivers 2 and shoot bugs. Like I don't feel overwhelmed when I play those games because it's like there's no.
It's very streamlined.
It's just like straightforward.
Yeah. Honestly, hot take here might be a hot take here. And it's weird because I'm like unhappy with the current style of this series, but it's honestly a lot like Pokemon in that way too.
Oh,
like,
fuck Pokemon.
Like when I go back and play the old Pokemon games, I'm like, this is a grind. And it's the same thing you were talking about. Like, it's daunting. You're like, I don't got time for all this.
Yeah.
But then you go play the new ones, and the new ones are like, I'm like, do I have to think to do anything to play this game? Like this is like brain dead easy gaming. Like it's like,
well, that's how they were designed. Strategize. That's how they were designed originally anyway, is to just be like easy approachable games, and that's why they're so popular.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But now that they are the way that they are now, it's like the technical stuff is getting in the way.
Yeah. Oh
it's like
yeah.
Literally,
the Switch.
Yeah, and they could just do it differently. Like Arceus was like a breath of fresh air for the franchise.
Absolutely.
But then technically it's a pile of garbage.
Yeah, it ran horribly.
Technically it was trash, but it was the game that I was dreaming of since I was like playing Pokemon Red on my Red Game Boy Pocket.
And I'm super excited for the sequel or whatever, Z.
Yeah.
ZA or
Za.
Za.
Gotta get that Za.
But I mean that one's in the future, I believe, right? It's like Gen 5. Set in Gen 5 in like the future or something like that. I don't know.
This is cool.
Or maybe it's in the past.
And it's supposed to be like just in like a town.
Yeah, because remember Gen 5, Unova had like that giant city that you could like run around, and like it was kind of cool on the 3DS because like I don't know the way
it
they
was like
did
a cool perspective thing.
Yeah, it was like 3D, 2D, you know what I mean, kind of a thing. So I think it's like I think it's not in the future. I think I was wrong. I think it's the backstory of how they built that town.
The
Za, and that's Zygrade, I'd assume. Or
yeah.
It's that. This is Pokemon Z, basically.
Yeah.
And I agree with you that is like probably the best, even though it ran like dog shit. It was probably the best entry in the series in a long time.
I want to say the last Pokemon game that I really gave a shit about was probably like, gosh, maybe Diamond and Pearl.
Oh yeah, and they butchered the remakes.
Not the remakes.
They butchered the remakes.
The remakes were pretty bad.
They were.
I played up until like the second gym on the remake, and I just was like, I don't know why I give a shit about this.
The thing that was horrible about the Diamond and Pearl remakes was every like bit of personality that made those games good, they took out of it. Like it's not like they had Pokemon Platinum content. You know what I mean? It's not like they like I don't know. They basically like they didn't add anything to it. They took stuff away. So it's like
Yep.
And then it was again just like super dumb easy. Which I don't even mind. Like it can be easy and approachable, and I totally like that's fine. But it's like it's the point where it's like you don't even have to like think about what moves you're using half the time, like unless it's just like ineffective at all. Like
that's literally Pokemon though. Like I'm playing through. I just started playing Emerald.
Yeah.
I owned Sapphire and Ruby, but I never owned Emerald. I never owned it. Except I did. I totally owned it.
He does own it.
I don't own it. I do. So I'm playing through it, and it's just like the other games. It's just I don't see a difference in between the other games at this point because it's so early in the game.
It's that post game where it's
right. It's different, and so I'm playing through it, and I'm like, tackle, 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 tackle. Just keep using tackle until you get Vine Whip, and then Vine Whip. Or no, I don't remember who I have Mudkip, so I'm Mud Slap. There's no Pokemon that are like weak to Mud Slap in the beginning of the game, so you're like just using tackle endlessly and until you get to wherever you're going.
Yeah,
I don't know. I like the Pokemon games, the old ones, because it's like a good way to pass time sometimes. And like I've been playing through each of them, testing out these emulators, and they're fun. It's just something like to pass time, and it's discreet too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, speaking of like handheld and discreet, it's all like connected. Like we're already like talking about what we wanted to get to before even getting to it.
Yeah.
So like, do you think like along those same terms that we're talking about, like being easy to play, like pick up and go play, like being semi discreet, I guess with the Switch, it's a pretty big device,
Yeah.
But do you think, in terms emulation aside, do you think the Switch is kind of responsible for like the resurgence in handheld gaming being popular?
I think so.
Yeah, I would think so too, because like I mean, even though the PlayStation Portal isn't like a dedicated handheld, right? Mm-hmm. It's something, right? It's kind of like the Wii U vibes.
They're trying.
Yeah, it's just something they quick like, oh, this is like relevant and popular. We didn't play
it's literally a tablet with a controller on it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I mean, it's
throw
something.
It out there.
Yep.
And now there's lots of rumors. And I can't remember if this was from the lawsuit, so it's fact. I can't remember if it's part of the FTC Microsoft lawsuit. So I'm not gonna say whether it's a leak or rumors. It's one of the two. Yeah. But there's an Xbox handheld. And maybe even Phil tossed it out there. I can't remember because it's been a couple weeks since. But Xbox essentially is talking about making a handheld. Whether it's streaming or like download the games and like be a dedicated device, I don't know. But I think the Switch probably put all that back on the roadmap because the PlayStation Vita obviously didn't.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The Switch is an extremely popular device. It kind of came out of nowhere. Especially for Nintendo, that's always had like a home console and a handheld console. But what do you think about like, and even with the Steam Deck and stuff, like, what do you think about the current like state of like handheld gaming?
I think it's great. I think we're getting a lot of options. So like before, in terms of like, if you're talking about like x86 based systems, like you got your ROG Allies, you got your Lenovo Legion Go's, you've got the Steam Deck, modern handhelds are great, and even before that, we had the devices from like Ioneo and some of that stuff. It just was so expensive.
Yeah.
And now we're at a point where like an ROG Ally is expensive, especially if you go with the Z1 Extreme. But like, I feel like we actually have choice now. Mm-hmm. The thing is, we have choice. But the only right choice is the Steam Deck.
Hey, tell them how it is. Tell them how it is.
Just in my opinion, based on my experience with the two devices. Mm-hmm. So a Windows handheld and one that has Linux, which is the Steam Deck. Between the two of them, the experience, like every time, because I bought an ROG Ally for my fiance.
Yeah.
Because I was like, she likes Call of Duty. She's going to want to play games that she can't play on a Steam Deck. Like, I want to get her something nice, so I got her that. And every time, and I think I'm the only one that touches it this now, and I'll pick it up, and literally the only thing I do with it is, like, install updates. And she took it on a trip. She went on a cruise, and she did not start any of the games before she left. Because why would you?
Yeah, why would you go through to hit play on all of them?
Right. Why would you need to do that? But the problem with that is that it's a thing with Windows and it's a thing with Steam, and it needs to like validate that you own the game at once, or whatever on that device. And then so the whole trip she just like couldn't. I mean, she didn't think to like hotspot her phone so that she could start a game. But at that, like you're on a plane. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, it's more like Microsoft stuff. Because remember, that's like kind of like the direction Xbox was going. It's like you always have to be online. Like,
right.
The Xbox One was like, you have to be online. You have to check in. So that's honestly like the Xbox One debacle.
Right. Well, and this is going through Steam too. And it's not just because you just need Windows to be online. It's literally just like Steam being like, hey, I need to know that you own this game.
Yeah, verify it.
And it's like a first time check thing. And like you don't like, oh, I'm gonna download Cult of the Lamb and play that on the plane ride.
Right.
Like great game to just sit and play on the plane. You didn't start the game before you left, and you've never played the game on your device before, so you're not gonna be able to play.
So
it.
now you can't. You're screwed.
I don't know if that's necessarily the case with the Steam Deck because like I don't travel a lot.
I've never had that. Yeah, I've never tested it.
I've never had that issue, but I'm also just at home when I'm playing with my Steam Deck for the most part. And to just to be honest, like the interface and everything, like I know that you can use big picture mode on the ROG Ally and all those other handhelds. I know that you can do that, and I know that if you really wanted to install SteamOS, you could do that in a weird way. If you wanted to do Chimera OS or HoloOS, so it's not really supported as much. Bazite, whatever. If you want to do that stuff, you can do it. You can do it if you want to. But like the Steam Deck just comes with it.
Yeah,
it's just there.
It's like streamlined, easy,
and it's not as expensive.
Yeah,
and the type of games that I play on the Steam Deck, not games that I would really want to play on my. I mean, I play Stardew on both, but like, and that's just current obsession. But like, I don't really want to play Helldivers 2 on my Steam Deck.
Right, yeah.
I can.
About, like,
I made a short about it.
Yeah.
I can do it. But, like, it's one of those, like, I'm mouse and key. But then some games you can just... It doesn't translate. Sometimes you just want to play mouse and key. And then if you're doing something like, 2D game, platform or whatever, perfect for a D-pad. Perfect for a controller. So, I don't know.
And you probably know a lot more about this subject than me. Didn't the ROG Ally have a lot of like hardware issues? Like it was like burning SD cards.
It does, and it's just came out probably this last week that they're extending the warranties on those devices because it was burning out micro SD cards.
That. As they should.
Just don't use a micro SD card on the ROG Ally. Just don't do it. That's the only thing that's really wrong with it, though.
And here's the question, though.
Other than Windows being
Windows being Windows.
Windows.
Say I'm an average Joe gamer that is like, oh yeah, I travel a lot. I want to get into one of these. Say they do buy the ROG Ally, though. Wouldn't it be, and maybe not, maybe I'm completely wrong, wouldn't it be a pain in the ass to get expanded storage on anything that isn't micro SD for the average Joe?
For the average person that does not want to tinker, yes.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's kind of sucks about that.
But that's the thing, though. Honestly, like I have a friend that bought an ROG Ally, and I upgraded the storage in their ROG Ally for them.
Yeah,
I will say to open up the ROG Ally easier than the Steam Deck. So you just basically just pop the back off and put in a new SD card an SSD, and then you do the cloud recovery stuff, and it just downloads Windows and does all that stuff for you.
Yeah,
it's actually pretty straightforward. Now, if you don't want to tinker, then you're kind of SOL.
Yeah,
but there's lots. I mean, it's easy to do.
Yeah, I was surprised. Like,
it's not convenient, but it's easy to do.
Right. So it's like it's like if you want to tinker and stuff, it's not necessarily like a downside to it. But I don't know how many average Joes would buy the ROG Ally, but just in case,
right? I think a lot of people do though.
Yeah, I could see it. Like if you're like a business person, and you're traveling all the time, and you're like, man, I want to play these games I'm spending good money on.
Right.
And then the other, like, honestly, the thing that surprised me the most about, because I got the Steam Deck OLED.
Yeah.
I don't have like a super crazy PC, so I was like, oh, anything I want to play PC. Like, I don't really want to go all out on the PC side of things, right? So I was like, I'm gonna get a Steam Deck. Of course, like obviously you've always hyped it up and stuff, and
Yeah.
so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get a Steam Deck. So I got the OLED. Absolutely love the Steam Deck to death.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me, I was so shocked when I started making content on, and I've only made a couple videos on the Steam Deck. How many? Let me even switch the camera. How many of you? How many of you have come at me in my comments that are like, the ROG Ally is better? And I'm like, dude, I'm shocked. I'm honestly shocked that that is such a popular take within at least like the gaming YouTube short community. That took me off guard.
It's so technically they're right. Technically and like performance wise, the ROG Ally
Yeah.
is much better. I mean, you're talking the difference between a 4 and 8 core CPU.
Yeah.
And it does
So a big
have
jump.
it does have more juice. It can push more power. But the thing that I love about the Steam Deck is that you can play your games and it's you can control the TDP or how much power it actually draws. And you can extend your battery. Like I'm playing Stardew Valley at like 7 watts or whatever.
Yeah.
You could probably even go lower than that, but that extends your battery life. You talk about, yes, the ROG Ally is more performant. It does perform better, but at higher TDPs, and it doesn't last as long.
That's my thing, is I'm like, sweet, you can play this like, next gen game or whatever for 45 minutes.
Right.
Unless you're
And I don't even play those type of games handheld.
Yeah, because it's like you were saying, like I don't like desire really to play those games. Like honestly, my Steam Deck, you know what? I've primarily played on my Steam Deck OLED since I bought it. Is Persona 3 Reload, because it's like not super graphically intense.
What a great game to enjoy an OLED screen.
Yes, and like so it's not very graphically demanding. It looks beautiful. The art style is beautiful, so the OLED screen really brings that out. It's a long ass game. If you haven't played any of the Persona games, they are long as hell. And Persona 3 actually is like one of the shorter ones, I guess, or maybe even the shortest. I'm not 100% sure, but especially becoming a dad, what I love about, and I just dedicated handhelds, so like not speaking about any streaming devices, is just being able to pick it up, play it for 30, 45 minutes, set it down easily without like worrying about it.
Instant resume is sick.
Yeah, and then like 2 hours later, picking it back up and playing for like another hour or whatever. And it's not like let me boot up my PC, let me boot up a console, or even if it's a streaming device, it timed out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like instant like that. And I love streaming games. I use like the Logitech G Cloud a lot.
Yeah.
I've been playing around the PlayStation Portal, and I've enjoyed that a lot. But like the Steam Deck and in the ROG Ally, I don't have that, but I'd assume same kind of rule of thumb there. It feels good because it's just so convenient and streamlined. And that's why I like the Steam Deck, though, so I don't have to worry about Windows. I don't have to worry about like getting drivers. I don't have to worry about any of that. I can just boot it up, click play, and go.
Right.
And really, I didn't need a PlayStation Portal either. I could use that to stream my PlayStation games. So
for the just average person, I think just the Steam Deck. And I think I even kind of talked about it in one of my videos where like I think that the Steam Deck, or even handheld gaming consoles in general, like the ROG Ally, whatever, I think it's really good for like a Mac user too.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people like you have the same cable that plugs into your MacBook, like a USB-C or Thunderbolt cable or whatever, to just power your display. You could literally just plug that into your through your dock or whatever. You just switch over and play Steam games.
Yeah.
And
100%.
I think it's just a cool device.
It is. What do you think about? I haven't like watched reviews or even know much about this one, but what do you think about the Legion Go?
Legion Go looks cool. I considered buying one right at the beginning because of the hype, and I'm glad I didn't, because I'm still like, it would be cool to have it for the sake of like having it for a tech video or whatever.
Yeah, right.
I'm still just sold on the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Like I'm still just in that phase. Like I don't play it as much as I was, but I still have this like, I don't know, I have a relationship with it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like connected to it in a way because one, I really like Linux in general.
Yeah.
I don't get to use Linux a ton anymore. Like I just spent a lot of time like messing around with Linux before, but I've always wanted gaming to come to Linux, and Steam and Valve kind of just like made that happen.
Yeah, right.
Like they kind of forced it. They kind of forced it into existence, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Because I always thought like because the Windows thing, like it's always it's Windows. And it's always going to be Windows.
Blue screens.
And it is what it is. Like it has the most compatibility with the most stuff because it's the most widely used thing, even above Mac OS and stuff like that. But I was always like, man, it'd be really cool if Linux, like, you could just use Linux as a gaming platform, and for them to just, and I was thinking that like before, like I was thinking that back in college. So like I don't know, I graduated college in like 2014. Like I was thinking about it then. I was like, man, it would be so cool to just like ditch Windows and like install Linux and be able to do that. You could do that now. It's still a little complicated, but it's way less complicated than it was before because Valve like actually put the work in.
Yeah. Honestly, the thing, like, I was kind of laughing because it's not, there's so many options right now in handheld gaming.
Yeah.
I was just kind of laughing at, like, why would anybody not at this point just buy like a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally? But the Legion Go, the screen looks massive for one.
It's like 1 inch bigger, so, but it looks massive because in comparison, it is big.
Yeah, so like that, I mean, that's a plus. And the one thing that I never considered really buying it, but the one thing that I was like, that's pretty freaking sweet, is like the rip-off Joy-Cons, you know, that are like magnetic and snap on. I'm like, that's like a gimmick that makes them different immediately. You know what I mean? It's
good that they tried to do something different.
Yeah.
And you can use it as a mouse and do that stuff.
Yeah,
I think it's really
cool.
It is cool. A bit gimmicky, but it is cool that they actually tried to do something. It's better than, I mean, MSI just came out with one too.
The Claw.
They have the Claw, right. And that's Intel based, which if you haven't followed the handheld gaming space for a long time, a lot of the older like Windows based handheld gaming devices from like INEO and stuff like that, they were Intel based.
Yeah.
And
which is interesting.
Well, I mean, because AMD wasn't quite there, you know, and now that they are, it's like if you buy a handheld device that doesn't have an AMD chip in it, like, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, it's kind of goofy. So for them to just be like, we're gonna go hang out with Intel, like, that's cool, but at the same time, that's like, what are you doing, dog?
So another one I haven't really seen. I definitely haven't seen much about the Claw. Do you think the Claw is like a decent device, or?
It's a decent device if you want a device that performs the same as the ROG Ally, costs $100 more and runs twice as hot.
I didn't even realize it costed more than the Ally.
It's $800.
That is crazy to me.
Yeah, they're charging $800 for that thing, and I don't know what the spec is. I don't know if if they just come with 1 terabyte or whatever.
Or if there's multiple versions. Or
I mean, there's been really good deals on like the regular Z, because there's the Z1 and the Z1 Extreme.
And I've heard, and correct me if I'm wrong or this is a bad take, I've seen it on a couple YouTube comments, not even just in mine too, but just in general, where I've heard a lot of people basically say, unless you want like an emulator is like the huge piece of it, buy the Extreme or it's not really worth it. To get an Ally, at least. It's buy an Extreme or get a Steam Deck.
I don't agree. I think that if you know what you're going to play, if you know what kinds of games that you're going to want to play,
right.
I think the regular Z1 version, not at the original price, because it was like $500.
Yeah.
I think now it's like $400, or sometimes you can even catch it cheaper.
Yeah.
If you can get it on a good deal, the Z1's great.
Yeah. That's good to know.
Just as long as you're understanding that, like, you're not getting the most, like, you're not getting balls to the wall performance.
Yeah, like the max you can get.
I mean, if you're just playing friggin' Cult of the Lamb or Stardew Valley, like, you don't need a Z1 Extreme.
No. And that's the thing about, like, the OLED that I've been actually really impressed with, is since I don't, even when I'm running Persona 3 Reload, which is like a, PS5, Xbox Series X game, obviously not super demanding, but the battery is like, I get good battery on the OLED.
Yeah,
like, I could play Persona for 5 hours.
You could even tweak that even more. If you wanted to set down your TDP, I mean, you look online at what other people like to do, but I mean, you could even mess with it now, and you could just like set manual TDP on your little menu on the side, and as long as your game is running fine, like you can set it as low as you want until it starts to stutter or whatever.
That's just raw settings too.
You could just do that, and then your battery life, and because it's the OLED, like, you're already getting a bigger battery. You're already getting, like, you've already gotten a leg up over the LCD model. Like, you're just giving yourself more battery life, and you're not blowing as much heat out the top of it. You know, like,
the only thing that's devastated me about my Steam Deck, the only thing, and Valve, if you're listening, my dog No, not even my dog. I can't even remember how to do it. My Steam Deck charger broke.
Oh,
the
no.
wire frayed. Valve does not sell an official Steam Deck charger.
That's fine.
I'm like, dog, let me buy an official charger so I don't toast the battery on this thing.
You listen. At this point, there are good options out there for you.
I just bought like a 45 because I was like, oh yeah, use a 45 watt. So I just bought a 45 watt brick, and I already have USB-Cs, so I was fine there. But I was like, scared I was going to toast the battery.
That's funny. Like that, you would think that it would toast it because I mean, there was so much like not discourse. There was so much about the Switch originally with like, don't use a different charger because the charging protocol is gonna like it's gonna toast the battery. And now things are so smart that like you could buy a 100-watt brick, and it would just know. It would just
be smart.
It's what's called PD or power delivery, or like it's like a thing that like communicates. Yeah. It's like, how much do you need? And then the device is like, I need this much, and then the charger's like,
sends it that way.
Got it.
That's pretty impressive.
So honestly. Like to buy like 100, I bought a 65-watt brick in my backpack, and it's way smaller than the Steam Deck, and it's got a detachable cable and stuff like that. So it's like it's better.
Yeah.
I know that the ones that come with the new. Maybe it's the ones that come with the OLED. They're long. The cables are longer.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm upset about. Is it was a 9-foot cable.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a super nice, like super long, and the brick was. I mean, it was a little chunky. Like the one I bought now was definitely smaller.
Yeah.
But I mean, it wasn't like this obnoxious brick, and it was a 9-foot cable. So I'm like, dude, this is sweet. Like, yeah, that's so now I'm upset. But everybody on Reddit, because I was like, there's no way they don't sell an official charger. I was like trying to look. I get on Reddit and they're like, just buy a dock. It's like, this is your excuse to buy a dock now for it. But I didn't buy the dock. I just bought like a $20. But it's funny that you say that because like, so do most power bricks operate off that kind of system nowadays?
Especially if it's like a modern like GAN charger with PD, like it's most of the stuff like the major brands.
Yeah, I got like Anchor, like IQ Smart Delivery or whatever. I'm like, yep, I'm
Anchor, Ugreen, whatever, like that stuff all works.
Yeah.
We're at a point now where like we're good.
They're good. Yeah. That is funny about the Switch because I definitely remember hearing.
Yeah, I didn't want to use a different. Bob told me Bob told me that I didn't want to use a different charger, so I didn't, and I never did, and I still don't. I don't even touch my Switch anymore.
Nintendo or get evicted.
Yeah, get out of here.
Nintendo will know and they will bust through this window. They might be outside the door right now.
They're gonna fry your Switch.
Actually, funny enough, not a planned segment at all. But I was using my Switch. I have an OLED, so relatively new. I mean, I think the OLED came out in 2022. I went to charge it the other day. No idea what's going on with my Switch. I plugged it in. I hardly use it. There's dust all over it.
Yep, same.
Plug it in. I'm like, oh, it's dead, because nothing popped up. I'm like, oh, it's dead. I left it for like an hour, came back.
Still dead?
Like nothing. Like I'm pressing the power, and my wife has a Switch OLED too, and I'm like, oh, I'll just use hers. If it is broke, I guess. I don't know. So I plug hers in. Hers has got to be more dead than mine. Caked in dust too. Plug it in. Immediately I see a charge. I was like, oh shit.
No.
I said, oh shit. So my Switch might not even work anymore. I don't know. I haven't tinkered with it more. It could be just like the power button maybe is like fucked. But I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, all one game I play on there is now fucked. But I pretty much only played like the Legend of Zelda game. I mean, I love the Switch, but like I just kind of like was like, I need something more powerful now.
The Switch needed to happen.
It did, yeah. Like it definitely, like we were saying, it revived the Switch, revived handheld gaming, in my opinion, and many different
single-handedly,
ways.
I think.
What do you think? So, how about you have two really good emulation handhelds right now? Do you think did those stay popular, or did the Switch kind of put those on the map too?
I think they did. I think they. Well, I mean, now that Nintendo just decided to take the eShops offline and do all that stuff with the 3DS and like
the Wii U.
They're doing it to themselves.
Yeah.
They're 100%. Making it like you want to be able to. I mean, some people say it's to preserve gaming and history in gaming, and like that's partially true. I think like to be able to just have that stuff at your fingertips, good. Let's keep it. Let's keep it around. But the thing is with these things is that like you are spoiled with these things, right?
Yeah.
Like I have the Mii Mini Plus here.
All right, we are back. My son decided to join the podcast by letting out his cries. So if you heard any cries before the edit,
Yeah.
my son is a featured guest as well. So
Yeah.
so he tell us about some of the devices you've been using like handheld emulators with and stuff like that.
So I originally picked up the Ambernic RG35XX. Had to cope a little bit because I was like, I don't need Wi-Fi. I don't need any of that stuff. I don't need Bluetooth. This
Old
has
school.
it. This has HDMI out, so I could plug it into a TV if I wanted to. You know, like I'm planning on making a video about the RG35XX. But then I just what got a little silly and goofy, and I bought a Mii Mini Plus. The Mii Mini Plus has been around for about 2 years at this point, and it's they're releasing these things literally like every other week. Like there's a new like little handheld every other week, which is cool, and I'm glad that it's happening. But like people, if you ask like which one should I get, everybody's like Mii Mini Plus.
So that's kind of like the go-to.
That's like the go-to one. If you're into if you just want to play mostly like Game Boy games, and like you can play all the way up to PS1.
Yeah.
Which is nuts on something
sweet.
like that. But you can if you want to. Like there might be a couple PS1 games that I might be like Digimon World 3 or something that I'm like, maybe I'll play that. But I don't know. I literally got into them because like I wanted a reliable way to play like Pokemon games.
Show all of our audio listeners won't see this, but our video listeners, show the webcam real quick on this side.
Yeah.
Look how small this thing is. So if we're to run like PS1 games and stuff, is pretty.
There's just little guys.
Yeah, they're both just little guys.
They're both, about the same size. They both look about the same. If you looked at one or the other, you'd be like, well, they just look like the same thing. But they're slightly different. So like the RG35XX like doesn't have Wi-Fi. That's fine. Like if you're just playing games.
Yeah.
You don't need to worry about that stuff. The reason why I wanted the Mii Mini Plus though is because it does have Wi-Fi, it has Bluetooth, and the baby. He's
pissed.
He's there.
He's pissed.
He's jamming. Mii Mini Plus. I think that this still, if you ask people today, like what should I get? It's the Mii Mini Plus.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are still in that camp because of the amount of support that people are still giving this. Not Miiu itself, because it's from a company called Miiu. Not from Miiu directly, but from developers that have created the operating system for this thing, which enhances the experience with this thing dramatically. And yeah, it's just that's cool.
It's sweet. Like it's like a good build quality. It's not.
It's not like little chintzy little like.
The screen's nice.
The screen is nice.
The screen's very nice.
I'm gonna say what I have a problem with though with this.
Air it out.
So the operating system that comes on here from Miiu, fine, it's serviceable, and you don't even need Onion OS if you don't really want to go that far. My problem is that Onion OS, there's a skin on this. There's like themes.
Yeah.
So you make it look different. There's the standard theme. There's like a bunch of themes that are preloaded. One of them is called Prawn Hub, which is hilarious to me. That's got like a bunch of anime ladies, and it's like it plays like some music or whatever.
Seductive.
Yeah, I don't know. But there's one that has Onion OS on it. It just looks like Onion OS, and then I was like, oh, this must be Onion OS then. And then I'm like using it more and more, and I'm like, that's not how this works. That's not. I mean, Onion OS basically takes the original OS and like tweaks it and makes it like way better.
Yeah.
Why would you put a skin on here that looks like Onion OS, and like you're just trying to trick me?
So they basically faked your ass out.
They faked me out. I was kind of pissed about it. I was like, well,
what is this?
So my recommendation to anybody that's getting into this stuff, yes, go with the Mii Mini Plus if you can find a good one. I'm not trying to sell you one of these things, but what I'm saying is if you really want something like this, I mean, if you can get it for like $60 on Amazon, good job.
Yeah.
You can buy it on AliExpress for like 40, 30 sometimes.
That's not bad.
Like it's crazy. Get the Mii Mini Plus. get your own dang SD card and then flash Onion OS on it before you even do anything with it.
So you're set from the start.
So you're set from the start, because I've done this several times with these where like this had a stock operating system on it.
Yeah.
And then it has Garlic OS, which is by the same developers. Again, you're like, I'm playing for a while, and then I'm like, well, I gotta wait for the new SD card to get here, and then I gotta flash it, and I do all this stuff, and then like by the time, and then I don't know how. I still haven't figured out how to like find my saves and stuff and move that stuff over. So I'm like, I don't know.
You're kind of doing like one step forward, two steps back, and then one.
And then
step
it just
forward.
like ruins your experience because you just want to like play the games.
Yeah.
So if you ever do this stuff, if you ever want one of these things, buy an SD card. Just buy a whatever reputable brand SD card right from the get go, and then whatever community OS is out there, build for it. Do that instead.
Yeah.
Just do it from the start.
All right, Heath. So my biggest thing with emulating, because I've always wanted to get into emulating, but
Sure.
it seems like you have to be in the know. You know what I mean? To get
Kinda,
into
yeah.
it, like of what device to buy. Again, how you like customize the OS, all that kind of good
Mm-hmm.
stuff. What would be, I guess, your words of advice to anybody that wants to experience these old games or just have something to play on the go, while they're traveling for work or anything like that, but are kind of gatekeeping themselves because of that same idea? What kind of insight would you give to those people?
If you're watching this, you're probably not an average person because
Right.
you're really cool and you like gaming a lot. So more than likely, you're going to probably want to watch other videos. So watch Retro Game Core videos, watch Bob Wolf videos, Wolfden videos, watch videos that are informative to you, and come up with your own, journey. Like it's kind of about the journey too, and figuring out what you want to buy. Like what's the device for you, because you may not like a vertical handheld like the Mini Plus or the RG35XX. You might want something that's horizontal, that's more reminiscent of the Game Boy Advance or something like
absolutely.
that. You might want something different, and that's okay. Like there's no real wrong answer. It just depends on how you really want to use it. I have kind of landed on the Mini Plus, even before I've really customized it and things that I want to do with it. I've landed on the Mini Plus because people are still making videos about it today. And being like, well, what's the handheld that I use all the time? And I've got 20 of them.
Yeah.
Because they're a YouTuber or whatever. Which one are you using now? Mini Plus.
Yeah. So it's basically got the rep.
It's got the rep at this point. It's been around long enough to have enough community support around Onion OS. And I mean, you could install other OSs onto it too, but it's got just like the right kind of combination of hardware if you can get it at the right price. You don't spend $80 on it.
Right.
Don't spend too much money on this. Catch a deal. And just be patient. But that's easier said than done, obviously. Like I did the same thing where I was like, I can't get a Mini Plus. I think I like the Ambernick device more, so I just went with it. And I was kind of coping with it too, because I was like, I don't need the Wi-Fi to be able to update things. Because that's a nice thing too, is like, because this has Wi-Fi, I can do over-the-air updates,
right,
instead of like having to plug it into my computer. And it's like, once you get it really set up the right way, it just is a standalone device.
Yeah,
and that's what I look for. And not even to mention that it sort of operates as like a companion to a Steam Deck.
Yeah.
So like I was playing Pokemon Crystal, emulating it on my Steam Deck.
Mm-hmm.
I was having a good time, but at the same time, I was like, this is too big.
Yeah.
It's cool for a little bit, and then you're like, well, it's not. I'm not saying that emulating is like super authentic because it legitimately isn't.
Right.
It's not an authentic experience. But the thing with these things is they try really hard to get you really close to that authentic experience. So I think it's just a really good companion to a Steam Deck.
Right.
Like you can play other games if you're a mobile dude. If you're a mobile guy, you're a mobile girl, whatever you like. If you're going out and you want to, or if you're just like me and you just like want to like a little guy play games on.
And it kind of captures in on what we were talking about earlier, like capturing that nostalgia.
It does.
You know what I mean? Like you feel like you're playing Pokemon Crystal, as you would as you were a kid. You know what I mean? Like,
and having experienced this recently, where like I found my old Game Boy Color, I found my old Game Boy Advance. And like you put the game in and you turn it on, and you're like,
this is sweet.
This is sweet, but also it's like kind of hard to see.
Thank you for dealing with the interruptions with us tonight.
Sure.
But as we were saying, just cashing on the nostalgia, getting a device like that makes sense. And I think that's a huge piece of emulation is like you're not necessarily, you're basically looking for something that's good enough. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's a device that's good enough.
Yes, and you're never going to get there.
No.
You're never, so hear me out when I say this. You're never going to feel the same way.
Right.
As you did when you were 5 or 12 or whatever.
We're working now. We're paying taxes. We're not just carefree, playing
taxes.
Pokemon Crystal.
Had to pay taxes this year, man. That's crazy. But like, yeah, you're just looking for a little something,
Yeah.
You're never gonna feel exactly the same. Talking about Banjo-Kazooie and stuff earlier,
Yeah.
like you're never gonna feel the same.
Yeah.
But
It won't feel the same.
But it's good enough.
Yeah.
It's good enough.
Absolutely. With that being said, thank you all for joining us, especially if you made it to the end of this podcast for our hot takes. We definitely had a couple hot takes. I'm sure we're going to be... A couple people might be roasting us in the comments, but hey, that's fair. I mean, that's the name of the game when it comes to hot take stuff. Mm-hmm. So check out Funky HQ on Twitch and YouTube, right? You're over on both.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like looking to get into the Steam Deck mobile gaming. I'm sure emulator stuff too in the future. So definitely check out Heath. Thank you, Heath, for being here today. Episode 1. I'm super, super stoked for this podcast. Please review the podcast if you're listening to it on, an audio platform like Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Leave comments, feedbacks, and you might be featured in the next episode. Thanks for sticking with us.
Leave 5 stars or else.
Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop.